Did you guys get time to read? And what have you read? I'm just asking anyone. No?
It's about EV car manufacturer company. So,
Right,
so we had not very more detail on it.
right.
It was a profitable company. The new company is a very profitable company, and then it's in the high growth market.
Okay.
It's a manufacturing unit.
There's
Car
different variations
manufacturing.
of battery EV operations, such as hybrid option, mild hybrid, full electric.
Right.
And it's a quoted company, very highly regulated, and it's in an established country as well.
Right. Makes sense. Great. So if you compare this to the previous pre-scenes and all, usually CIMA gives service business, but we got manufacturing business this time. So in fact, being in manufacturing industry, it gives more sense for CIMA to test, and in fact, it gives us also idea what type of questions can come and all. Be more interesting than the other one. Okay, so we can get started with that. We have some points to discuss on intro, so let me share the other screen before we come in here. Yeah, anyone who is seeing the pre-scene for the first time? So what is pre-scene? I'll just give you in 1 minute. Technically, your strategic case study exam is a role play. So we are doing a role play of a senior finance manager, and that should be specific to the company. For example, here it's Cewmlator. It's a manufacturing company for EVs. Why it is important? Because when you'll answer the exam, technically, what is CIMA exam? You'll get an email from board of directors, and you have to reply to that. When you reply to that email, they won't give you the background, what is the company and everything. It is understood. It should be understood that this is the company, this is the financials, this is our board of directors, and everything comes from here. Right? So therefore, by default, we should know it. And in fact, the information they give in the pre-scene is not enough. They give very basic information like here. If you see in 22 pages, they have given news stories, technically 27 pages in all. It's not enough to know most of the things. So what to do for this now? So in order to fill this gap, we need to do our own research. We'll be doing our industry analysis in the class to understand it clearly. And secondly, we need to do the research on the real world companies. I'll share some companies. You have to do some research. In fact, to be honest, there are two companies which are very famous in this world. I mean, in the entire world. So if you go to their website and see what they are doing, we'll get almost 80-90% of the idea. We don't need to go like every company who is manufacturing EV. And I hope everyone knows which two companies we are talking about. Can you guess?
Tesla and BYD.
Very good. Tesla and BYD. So these are the two companies which are leading in this. Okay. And another thing is when they ask questions, in fact, if you want to be smart in preparation, we need to see what are the issues happening in the industry, because the same issues are 99% of the time tested. It's very rare that they'll give you a scenario which is not happening in the real world. So it gives us an advantage if we follow the news. So from today on, all of you should follow what is happening in the EV manufacturing. Just spend extra 5 to 10 minutes on the top of the normal studies we have to do, and read the news what is happening globally in these industries. Just you can Google it, what is the EV news, or you can just go to the company and their news. Okay. And if you find anything new or any new major changes happening, or major acquisition happening, that can be our exam scenario. In fact, we can discuss that in the class. We'll see what type of scenario is happening and how we can respond to that. That's a very smart way of preparation. So when we are doing discussion class, we are discussing that E3, P3, F3 also. Our aim is to see what type of questions can we ask and how we should answer it. So then and there we are solving the problem. Many times in the exam also, writing becomes important. So one of the reason why writing skill becomes difficult is obviously writing practice, but on the top of that, we are not very clear with the answer in our mind. Ideally, when you go to the exam, at least 70-80% of the topic, let's say out of 6 questions, at least 4 questions should be like, okay, I knew this thing. We expected that, we discussed that in the class. So this was part of the revision, something like that. Imagine if all 6 questions come something which we never expected. So it might be difficult for us. Okay. For that, industry and this news articles, everything is important. Okay. Any question before we start? This will take time. Today is the first session for pre-scene and this is totally new. So things will take little time. You will get better at the industry when you read it multiple times, when you do some research. You don't expect that in the first session itself it will be completely on your mind. It will take little time. So we'll use 2 documents to discuss. We have a PPT also and the full pre-scene. And the full pre-scene annotation is also done. We'll share both of that with you guys. Shall we start? Any questions before that?
No.
Okay. So our sessions, some of you are joining first time. Just to make it clear, our session is more of discussion. Should not be a monologue. I am talking. Should be a dialogue. Anything and everything you can ask. You can stop me and you ask why this, how it is related to the exam. What is the point of that? Anything and everything. Nobody is judging here anyway. Okay. All right. So this is the pre-scene for November and February. So the easiest part is now they are doing the same pre-scene for the 2 attempts. So that also give us a confidence. In fact, I have seen students, postponing exam every time. They are like, dilemma whether to go for this attempt or next. So these give them the motivation. Okay, if I'm not writing in November, I'll go for February. But if I tell you the reality, there are more students who are getting passed in the first attempt than the second attempt. For example, now Leother result will be out. I am confident in May, most students would have passed compared to August. Why? Because students who postponed, usually they don't give enough attempts in the second time. When they're preparing for November, they think like, okay, I'll go for Feb. And again, Feb, something will come up. And most of you guys are working. So it becomes even difficult. We are very optimistic. Okay, in second attempt, I'll be better. No. I'll strongly recommend go for November only. Think like this is the only attempt. This is the only chance. February doesn't exist. Then only we'll get better results. Okay, unless you have something emergency or other problems. All right. So in introduction, what does introduction includes? So technically, the introduction start with your role, what you are doing, what is supposed to be done. In fact, if you do smartly, the introduction itself give us a lot of hints. In fact, I believe like 30 to 40% of the pre-scene is in the introduction itself, if you look it properly. And it also gives you the lens from which we have to look at the pre-scene. Okay. What I personally believe is, and I suggest strongly, which has worked out for us in the past, is now pre-scene should be very handy and you should be reading pre-scene daily. In fact, if you can read twice, that's even better, but make sure at least once you should read it. This is 27 pages, so in starting it might take 35, 40, 45 minutes. But once you do it for 10 times, 15 times, you can just finish in 15 minutes or even 10 minutes. And every reading will give you new understanding, new clarity. For example, if you read like multiple times, you'll find out new risk every reading. You'll find new stakeholders. You'll find new problems. You can even find new solutions. Right? and whatever topic we'll be discussing in like F3, E3, P3, that also will get linked. We should not be over optimistic. Okay, I'll read it once and it should be, by heart in the mind. It will never happen. And the best part is it's very interesting. So you'll not get bored of reading it again and again. So it gives your introduction, your role, what you'll be doing, then introduction to the industry. So they have given introduction to industry from page number 3 to page number 8. What are the types of electric cars? How does it work and everything? Obviously, this is very small. So we'll have a separate session. I'm working on a document. I'll share with you and we'll discuss in the class. Separate session on the industry analysis. So in industry, we'll take major competitors or major companies, what they are doing, major changes that is happening. So there is one major change happening in this industry, which is affecting the global manufacturing. Can you tell me what it is? Any guess? Anybody?
Semiconductors.
Semiconductors. Okay.
That was one issue, and then battery as well. Disposal of batteries. Batteries draining out quickly.
Right, because of
Shifting from the
semiconductor
lithium
then-
to
yeah.
shifting from lithium to more of a others aluminum alloy, aluminum and other battery forms.
Right. Both the points are correct, but there is one more, even more important.
Production of lithium.
Lithium mining, you mean? Right. So the most
Production
important part, yeah.
Production of lithium.
Yes, that is also an important aspect. Lithium battery.
What about carbon emission? They're trying to get rid of carbon emission by a certain amount year. So the
Carbon emission strict regulation, right?
they're all combustion engines, basically.
All right. So these points are on the correct side. However, the most important is the government support, government subsidies. If you see, until few years, the government was very, very positive, and in fact, most of the governments globally, they were giving subsidies. But now, if you see in 2025 and 2024, recently the government has stopped giving subsidies, or they are not positive. They are not in favor of giving continuous subsidies to these companies. So that is the major problem with this industry. For example, what happened in the US is the prime example. US was supposed to be the biggest market. But when the new government came in, they said they don't want to give subsidies anymore. Right? So the overall prediction of the sale has gone down, and there is no much incentive for the customer to buy these cars. Till now, the government was subsidizing it, tax benefit was there, the rates were coming down. So eventually it was helping the customer. Remember, we are for-profit business, and the company will make money only when we do sales. Like other problems also, lithium batteries you have said, and the chip, everything is there. But if the cost goes up, definitely the demand will reduce, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where this is coming from? This is coming from industry analysis. So like this, we'll take other important points also and see what can be tested. Then from page 9, it will start about the Cewmlator, when we started, when the company was founded, when we got listed, how many employees we have, what is our mission, vision, and values. So this thing should be by heart. From page 3 to 9, the industry, sometimes it can be not exact as the real world. So we'll do a look at the real world and try to understand. But from page 9, this becomes our facts. Okay. The worst mistake we can do in the exam is not knowing our own company. You are a senior finance manager. You must be working for, let's say, 20 years, and out of 20, maybe 10 years you are into the same company, or 15 years in the same company. And you are giving wrong facts about your own company. That will make the entire answer go wrong. For example, not knowing our board of directors. Sometimes they'll ask a question, okay, how we can improve the board skills. So we should know what skills we have currently, how many people we have, what is their background, what expertise they're bringing in, do we need to replace some? Same thing with our major risk, our financial statements, our gearing, our collaterals, what we have, if we are going for debt options, how much retained earnings we have. Then another new thing they have added this time is sustainability report. In fact, sustainability committee kind of thing we can say. Till now, we just talk about risk, remuneration, and nomination. Now, sustainability committee is also part of it. Obviously, audit was there and it will be there. Then competitors financial statement. Why they do? They give these financial statements of the competitor? Because we need to understand how the industry in that particular country is operating. If both are growing, that means the market is growing. If both are not growing, that means getting saturated. If one is growing, another is not, then it might be a new reason. Then the share price history and the news article. So pretty much it gives us a basic what we need to know about the company. Wherever we find gap, it is confusing. Obviously, not possible to give a lot of information in this page, in this 27 page. So we can go to the real world company and do some research. So now make sure you are doing Tesla and BYD research almost on the regular basis. All right. Any question?
Yeah, I have it. Can you
Yeah.
able to compare this company with Tesla, because Tesla is automatic, right? So
Yeah.
it is not we can't compare. No, it's a very high end segment, and I
Yeah.
don't think we can able to compare. It's a like to like. We can't able to compare.
Yeah, I agree with you. Exactly, we cannot compare, but it will give us an idea. For example, what risk and challenges Tesla face, we are also facing. We can assume, for example, with the supply chain, with the government subsidies, with the prices, right? Like another major problem in this industry is like you don't have charging opportunities. Charging port is not there. The infrastructure is too low and it's very limited to few places. So that problem is with Tesla also, and it is with us also, isn't it? Hello, does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Exactly. Thank you.
So we'll move to the right mindset. Let me check. Right. So what should be the mindset? Firstly, I want to make it clear that this is like 4 papers we need to do. Like SCS, if you're writing, that is one with the case study, but we need to make sure that we have E3, P3, and F3 also. Lot of students, they think, okay, it's just one paper, I'll do the pre-screen and pass. That will never happen. Right. So what should be the mindset to clear? Like I usually say, there are students who have cleared in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time also. And there are students who are, you might see them on LinkedIn or on the group. They are taking almost years and they have never cleared. So why that happened? Because their mindset was not clear. They didn't know what they were actually doing. Right. So to ace this SCS exam, understand the role of a senior finance manager. So what is senior finance manager? Sometimes we'll see in certain companies, the role is senior, but the job being done is like a middle manager or something which is, very basic. But here, senior manager is someone who is working with the board of directors, who is working at the top level of the organization. So maybe you are the next CFO, you are the next CEO. We have a scenario in one of the exam, I think 3 to 4 years back, when you promote the senior manager as the CEO of the company, right? So you have to think as a leader. And another important thing is in CIMA especially, they tell you like a senior finance manager, but to be honest, there is only like 20-25% questions they are focusing from core finance. Other things are very specific to the business and industry. So you have to actually own the entire organization. So you have to think like every major problem is your problem because you are working with a board. And board is not thinking just, okay, you're a finance department, you're a marketing department. No. They are thinking about overall organization. So that is another thing where are the quality of the answers should be good. Or in fact, I would say this is where students struggle. They don't give holistic answers or they are not able to understand the scenario completely. For example, let's say they ask you a simple question, how much dividend to pay, right? Let's say our dividend was 30% and now they are thinking like they need to change whether they want to make it 50 or they want to just make it 10. So most of the students will answer just based on the effects of changing the dividend policy. That is not wrong. But what is an holistic and a very good answer? It will be to consider if you change the dividend, we'll have less money for investing in the projects. And we also need to consider what are the financing option we have. If we give away most of the money as a dividend and we have committed certain investment, then what is the option to raise the finance? Can we do it from the third? In fact, you can make it more holistic by comparing to the real world, how it has happened in the industry. For example, if we change the dividend policy which is lesser than the industry, so our shareholders will compare to other companies in the industry. They will say if your competitor is able to give, why you are not able to give? So that can also give a bad reputation. Plus, we need to see the risk. There are two categories of risk, which is specific to us, the first one, and another one is which is specific to the industry. That also we need to see. So therefore, when we are answering, we need to make it like it's very holistic. It is, not just coming from the finance perspective. Does it make sense? All right. Then we are focusing on 5 key skills. To be honest, if you understand this mindset, the way we read the pre-scene, the way we approach, everything will become very easy. Okay. Now there are 5 skills that CIMA is testing to pass. This was there for the previous case study, Leother, and it will be there for the next year also. So first is people, then we have business, technical, leadership, and digital skill. First means it's all equal, and especially people and leadership skill is indirectly tested. So we'll start with that. And this is where a lot of students score less. For example, again, we'll take simple example. They ask you, what are the sources of finance available? So we can give a list of sources of finance. Okay, in equity, we have this option. In debt, we have like convertible debt, normal debt, and everything, these options. And you finish your answer with the conclusion. And the same answer another student is writing with all this option, and he or she is doing recommendation. And recommendation, it's been clear that we need to go with that option because we have a lot of collaterals and we can do this by doing so and so. So clear recommendation, justification, action plan. So if you do that, you will get leadership point. In fact, they would have not asked you in the question to recommend. They would just say what options we have. It was an open-ended question, but you have to make sure it's like a close-ended answer. Whether they go with the option or not doesn't matter. But we need to make sure that we are giving clear recommendation. We are showing our leadership. Same thing if it is with the acquisition issue. Usually they ask a SAF model question, evaluate the proposal. In evaluation of the proposal, usually we use the SAF model, suitability, acceptability, feasibility. We'll see that in detail what is SAF. So in that also we need to recommend. So wherever possible, we have to show our leadership skill. Then in people skill, it can be management of stakeholders. Remember, every scenario or every business case will have certain stakeholders. If it is raising finance, we have banks or shareholders. If it is dividend, again we have shareholders. We have other stakeholders also, but they are primary. Then if it is with going into the new country, let's say from this country want to do a market development, then the local government will come in. Then the suppliers and even the customers have to think, isn't it? How you manage them. Then the power and interest also changes with the situation, right? That is a people skill. Does it make sense? Yes, no? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. For
Yes, yes, very much, very much.
Then business. So for business, you should need to showcase your business acumen. What is business acumen? Business acumen, ultimately, we are for profit. You have to make sure that our profits are increasing, or we are having sustainable growth in our revenue and ultimately the profit. So here you might have to think. We can even start doing some research on that. How our company can save cost. What are the extra sources of revenue we can get? For example, now we are into car manufacturing. Doesn't mean that we should do only this thing. Tomorrow we can start selling insurance. And people who are using our cars, will give them a discount to start with them. Then we can start giving them other services. So as a business, we can and we should have multiple sources of revenue. And sometimes adding multiple sources is easier, because if you're doing car manufacturing, a very complex business, then selling insurance, I don't think it's a problem. In fact, we can have our own captive insurance company, which will save our cost, because we might also have to do insurance and everything as a compliance, and we can pass on that to the customer also. So we should know what are the sources of revenue our business have. Right? So that is the example of business acumen. And obviously it can also include how we can deal in the difficult times, how we can make sure that we are having a continuous competitive edge in the market. For example, we divide this into core competency and threshold competency. Threshold competency is something which is order qualified, everyone is doing. And core competency is like order winner. So how we can win orders? That is our core competence. That is again part of business. And obviously, when you go to the definition in the book, it might explain with some different words. But this is an overview. Then technical skill. Technical skill is they might ask you some specific question. Let's say you want to acquire a business, and what are the valuation methods? Asset-based valuation is there. We'll be discussing this in F3. Not done. Asset-based valuation is there. Cash flow-based valuation, and all of that point can come. That is very specific to technical. Or sometime, and let's say from P3, they'll ask about risk register. Or in corporate governance, they're asking about certain committees. So here the guesswork and every logic and business logic will not go. This is specific. So this type of question can also go. Especially, let's say, coming with the forex, foreign exchange, how you can mitigate the currency risk, how you can mitigate the interest rate risk. That can be some of the technical questions. Then the last skill. The last skill is about digital skill. So in digital skill, they'll be asking about cybersecurity usually. But again, it's not limited to that. They can ask how we can do automation. For example, automation can help. For example, in painting of the cars, now it can be done in a minute or two, because it's all done through robots. So how robots can help us? Robots or cobots. What is cobot? When human and robots are working together, can help us to build our factory. Then cybersecurity we have discussed, and any other type of digitization we can do in the business. So digital skill can help. Again, a good hint for all 5 skills is we need to see what is happening in the industry. What is the industry benchmark, and what are the new things that are coming up. Moving on, you need to apply the knowledge of individual pillars E, P, and F. Now, in E, P, and F, like enterprise and risk and financial strategy, if some skills are specific or some topics are specific to service industry, then we can ignore it almost, not required. We need to see what is important for the manufacturing business. And when we are discussing this, also we have to apply to it. We don't need to take it generalized anywhere. Ideally, when we are discussing the topic, we should have an idea what can be tested and what should be done. Okay. And another thing is regarding the writing skill, we'll be doing mock. But before that, whatever topic we are discussing, I request you guys to write that. I'll give you the questions and then you have to write. I know in like 2-3 months we cannot improve the entire writing skill, but at least we can make some small changes that can make it more effective. It's not an English language exam like I am, but still if you have a decent one, it makes sense and it's very easy to do. Okay, we'll do a separate session also on how to structure the answer. What should be the header? What should be the quantity? And all of that. So from now onwards, you're working for Cewmlator. So take it as a first person, Now if someone asks you, you should say, where do you work? I work in Cewmlator. And what you do, we manufacture EVs. Take this personally. And to be honest, it's so funny. You don't need to sit with the notes. You don't need to open the pre-scene. If you just think in the mindset, okay, I am a board member of the Cewmlator. So automatically you will get a lot of thoughts. If you give questions to your brain, it will come up with the solution. Even if you have limited knowledge, say industry research you are starting, but before that also, if you start thinking, you will get points. So be in that mindset. Let's say you are driving car, you are commuting to work in train, whatever you are doing, that doesn't require you to be very active. So on the back of the mind, think about it. Okay, what are the major risks I can face? Okay, how I can make life easier for the people who are using car. How I can make sure, or how we can partner with the government, that government should be investing in this the infrastructure for the batteries, charging stations, or can I bring in other parties, or can I tie up with the other companies who have a lot of franchisee? Can they have the charging point in their parking? For example, I think it's there in Costco, it's there in Walmart, it's there in some supermarket parking stations. How can we make it more acceptable? For example, nowadays these companies have also tied up with residential area. In the certain society, they have these charging stations. But again, the availability is too low. So make sure you are into this situation. Try to be in that. You can find the difference. Your exam will be typically based on the senior manager's role in the industry of electronics, car manufacturing and sales. So now we can start with the introduction. All right. This is the most important part of the pre-scene. Cewmlator is a quoted company that manufactures electric cars. So firstly, we are a listed business. We'll break it down. Some topics can be easy. Some maybe, we need to do a little bit brainstorming, but make sure we do all of that. So first is being a listed company. So a quick question for all of you. What are the major advantage and disadvantage of being a listed company? Don't give basic answer like it can help us to raise finance, or the disadvantages we have more scrutiny, more compliance. Just think beyond that. I want all of you to give one response. What is the
Issues shares
major
easily, equity shares easily.
equity, like buying and selling of shares? You are saying shares are more marketable.
Yeah, develop the market.
Right.
You have a better corporate governance, you have a structured control system, and you have access to the multiple markets. Raising fund is easier.
Access to how access to multiple market you mean?
If you have a limited area that you can operate with a limited fund, then you are a regional company. If you have an IPO, you have a fund, you're listed on stock exchange, you can expand to multiple geographical markets because you have a fund to support. Suppose you are a Tesla, you want to set up a showroom just in India, you're a regional company, but you want to go to multiple countries and set up, you need funds for that. And you need to maintain a certain...
So I don't know, if you're a listed company, you're also trustworthy. So more people will want to do business with you. So you have access to other markets pretty better as well.
Right. So you're more trustworthy, and it can help to grow the business. Yeah.
And I'd say like the reputation and the trustworthiness can be a double-edged sword. Like it can prove as an advantage, but as a disadvantage as well if the company is not performing well. So, like this is one of the point that can be considered as an advantage and as a disadvantage, both in different situations.
Can you give any example of disadvantage for us?
Just like if you are publicly listed company, and you have your accounts and your financial statements publicly available, and you have more media coverage, you have more like news about your company in the market. So that can impact, if something goes wrong, if something comes in adverse media comes in the news, or if like in case of dividends, if you're not able to give same level of dividends like last year, so people might get scared that, is the company losing or is the company not performing well. So that can make the shares of the company and the business go down very drastically from there. So both places can be like tricky for reputation of the company if it's listed.
Right, makes sense. We have more information, and obviously the first one to watch at that is not shareholders, the competitors, because they want to copy, they want to see what we are doing, they want to sense. So it can affect our strategy, or we can lose the competitive edge easily.
Likewise, if it is listed in stock, then the compliances are more, and then any small change in the market affects our share capital as well as the stock prices. So we should be very cautious. The company management has to be more cautious about it for every situation that's happening, every event that's happening between in the industry as well as in the company. So that's all the disadvantages of being listed in the stock exchange.
I feel the biggest advantage is versus a private equity versus a public equity. Public equity, when I say is a listed company, is a liquidity. If I want to exit today, is it possible for me as a private equity? It is very difficult. I need to find another investor to transfer the thing. But if it is a listed company, then obviously I can sell my stocks on the market and then get out of it as an investor perspective. But as a company, as a management perspective, obviously we have a structured board and structured governance system. So it is better managed and regulated by the exchange bodies on how do we operate, how do we maintain the records, what is the transparency level, auditing reports, everything comes out. So that is the biggest benefit as a listed company.
Right.
From his point, I would say exiting the market for the company would be a big issue as well, because we see many companies who have a bigger chunk of business, or who have lots of shareholders. So when they want to exit, or when they want to liquidate themselves, it takes sometimes a year or more than that just to do the liquidation processes, and just to get all the approvals from all the competition authorities, all the securities boards and everything. Will that be a disadvantage as well?
Yes, it takes a lot of time, and when you take a lot of time, the opportunity might be gone. The decision making is slower.
Right.
I want to add up. Okay, acquisition by the company, it'll be challenging. For example, if any company wants to take over, then if it is in the stock exchange, it'll know that they have to do a lot of compliances. So the business takeover will be a challenging if it is in stock. It's listed in stock. Otherwise, it'll be easy for a takeover.
Right.
I can
Well,
think of
Dilip.
yeah, I can think of employee benefits. I think it will be a lot better in a listed company than in an unlisted company. So where the company can offer the ESOPs to the employees, which I think will attract the talent. Also, I think there will be better market recognition if it's a listed company than a unlisted company. So this is what I can think of.
As an employee, you like to work for a listed company or unlisted company?
A listed company, and that kind of give, as I said, they kind of offer the stock options and all of that to their employees as bonuses and all, which will benefit them, right? So I think an listed company will be a lot beneficial for an employee than an unlisted company. Maybe it's my personal experience. So yeah.
Unlisted companies also offer stock options. Many of the startups give the stock option to every employee, and I've seen many employees becoming richer once the startup gets sold off, and employees are at a great advantage if the startup is more successful, and they become overnight rich.
Okay. Okay. This is my experience, like, what I gone through. So yeah, this is what. So my company don't offer any such things, but my previous company did. So yeah, that's what I thought of.
And both the points are correct. When you say in the startup, the risk is very high, the chance of success is very low, and the shares of startups are not marketable. That's the biggest problem. You might have stock, but who is ready to buy it?
Yeah, liquidity is the biggest concern.
Yes. However, looking at our industry, it makes more sense to be listed. I hope all of you guys agree, because
Yes.
we are into a complex business. It was one rare situation in the CIMA SCS exam. We got a question that the company is getting delisted. We are a coded company, listed company. Now we have decided to get delisted. That is also possible, that we can buy off all the shares that is public and make it private company.
Yeah. We had Dell case 2 years back. Dell has become a private company from a public listed company.
All right. So it's very rare we see that in the market, unless, and it's very risky decision also, because going in the market is just more than raising the finance. Plus, when we are into the complex business, we have very difficult supply chain. We need more reputation. We need more trust in the market. And many times this compliance and everything, if we see, it is not adding to the profit, but ultimately it makes us better. For example, corporate governance. Like in our exam, we have to show like UK Code of Corporate Governance, or here we can call it Duxland. So that makes us better. If we have better corporate governance, not just for compliance, but it will eventually help us also to take a better decision making. Right? For example, in personal life also, if you see certain thing which sometimes look like an extra thing, like, oh, we are not motivated, but it eventually helps us. That might be at work, like attending some training sessions and all, or doing our CPD, continuous professional development, all of that. Okay, then we are into manufacturing business.
I just wanted to ask, can we also consider cyber risk, as it's a listed company, and like you mentioned, competitors would want to know more and compete, and can we consider that?
Yes, nice. I think cyber risk will increase, should increase.
And I think this is using automation as well, so I think it would increase, right? I mean,
yes, there is more probability, because obviously you are more visible, then you will be a target of the hackers. If you are not visible, your company is not visible, then the chances of that goes down.
Yeah.
Good point. Then being in manufacturing business brings in lot of advantages, and obviously it comes with a lot of problems. The biggest problem with manufacturing companies, even if you go outside this industry of electric cars, especially in today's world where geopolitical situation is not very stable, is the supply chain. And I don't think any country has control on this supply chain. That we need to find out when we are doing industry analysis. I believe China must be having, but again, China might not have 100%. But other countries, they are dependent. So geopolitical issues can make it very difficult. And you can just think it's very logical if that happens, just like tariff, what is going on with the tariffs now and all, the prices will skyrocket, it will multiply. And we cannot always pass it on to the customers. Or many times we just don't have that specific material to continue the manufacturing. That also becomes a problem. So I believe something related to the supplier can be a major risk. So when we are doing a risk analysis, we'll get a lot of risk coming from this part. What else can we think of a major challenge in a manufacturing company?
Thing is capital expenditure. Thing is now, because there is a lot of innovations and the competitor things, we will buy. We'll have a plan for a capex. They know that machineries. The thing is that design a model, go redundant. They know the capex which we invested is become a waste. So okay, return on investment. No thing is we have to plan accordingly so that the big amount will be logged up. When there is a change in the technology or something, the model goes. For example, if it is a nano car, if it is not been used, the machinery is bought for it, manufacturing, it goes for a loss.
I think procurement, even that is very important. So choosing the right supplier and looking into the costs, that will whatever we procure and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. So all angle, political, economic, social, all angle we have basically the pastel part. So is all the issue. I mean, it could be the change in the government policy, as you rightly pointed out in the beginning of this meeting, that subsidies from the government has been suddenly taken off. The product that used to be a competitive against the internal combustion engine versus the EV. Now the price comparison difference is very big. So suddenly the buyer would start thinking it is more expensive to buy the EV than on a ICE engine vehicles. So he would probably go for a hybrid rather than a pure EV. So that is one big shock, and supply chain shock, as you rightly told, and more of the health issues like a COVID period. You had a supply chain disruption. Suddenly, countries have cut down supplying. Everything is gone to the standstill. It could be a political issue. Suddenly, you have a war that is going on in the Middle East. Similar situation. If there is any suppliers from that region, we wouldn't get it. So these days, products are not produced in one single country. Everything is dependent on many other areas. Chips may come from Taiwan, batteries may come from China, and many parts may come from other countries, and probably we're just a assembler. So all those points will be a bigger challenge.
Right. And especially in this car manufacturing, whether it is ICE or electric, the supply chain is even more complex, because we have like thousands and thousands of small products, or maybe 100,000 also. It depends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's extremely risky. So if we are thinking about so much of uncertainty, I'm just thinking like the most important stakeholder which we need to manage becomes an insurance company. Because how much of this we can accept, isn't it?
Yeah.
It will be a nightmare.
So yeah, I mean, I guess what you said is right. So you can only transfer the risk from our side to insurance company, but will insurance company take over the risk from everybody? Probably in most cases, yes, but if it is a industry-wide issue, they may not. Like we have a earthquake, and every house which is on insurance, if they go to claim, probably insurance company will raise their hands and becomes it's a big failure from the insurance company itself, like we had in global financial crisis in 2008.
Right.
So where nobody got the insurance.
In Los Angeles a few months back, there was a very big news. You guys might have read about it. So there is a issue going on with that insurance companies there. They're not ready to pay
Yeah. Yeah.
because many
I
times
guess they are not willing to give insur. I mean, have insurance for that part because of the wildfires, right? I mean,
people
Mhm.
have certain insurance, but insurance companies play very.
yeah, they don't
Will
want to
always come
give
up
the
with a
claim.
loophole.
Yeah.
So most of the smaller insurance companies will provide the insurance product, but they have a reinsurance done for their insurance with a larger insurance company. If all the smaller insurance company go back to the bigger company, which where they have done the reassurance of their own insurance policies, if the bigger company says no, then I mean nobody there to help. I mean, too big to fail is never a concept these days.
Right, right. So we might have to do it at different levels. For example, for certain things, obviously we need to go to outside insurance companies. For certain part, we can have our own insurance company. For example, sometime we have to do insurance a compliance part. So we
Yeah.
are paying a very high amount or hefty amount to an outside player. So why don't we start our own company, like we discussed, captive insurance? If we see across industries, most of the Fortune 500 companies, they have their own captive insurance company. So it's like just taking money from one pocket and putting into another pocket. And we know that all the margins and everything is with us. And when the company needs it, if it is our own company, we'll just take the money out and give it, We'll not come up with other loopholes or something. That way we can save money as a financial risk manager. And we are doing compliance also. However, in here we might also need support from the bigger insurance, especially in the logistics, loss of business. Now cybersecurity insurance is also there in the market.
Yes. Yeah.
However, the problem can be we don't need to tie up with a lot of premiums. Let's say we are in that name of managing risk, we are tying up with so much of fixed expenses as a premium, which can be a problem and it can affect our cash flow badly.
Would transfer pricing come into play here also?
Transfer pricing, maybe if we know the entire business model, yes, transfer pricing can be, but it doesn't affect too much being a manufacturing business.
No, I mean to say, like, when you say that we have insurance company, like you just gave the example that many companies have their own insurance company as well. So I was asking in that context actually.
So they will have at a separate company. We'll have a group of company. Then you'll have that as a separate legal entity or separate company. They'll do it.
Okay.
So do some research on the manufacturing. And when you do research, don't limit yourself again to electric cars. Just general manufacturing company. Then we'll come to this industry. All right. So all of Cewmlator's products are powered by rechargeable batteries that are linked to electric motors. So nowadays, most of the car companies who were doing traditionally ICE engine, internal combustion engine, now they have started doing EVs. Some are doing like at a major scale, some are still into the introduction growth stage. But here we are just focus on the electric motors. And as we know from the pre-scene, we are not doing traditional cars. So it is a risk. Most of the companies might want to do both. Plus, it is powered by rechargeable batteries. So lithium batteries are mostly used in rechargeable batteries. So again, the supply chain becomes the same point. For example, lithium mining is also been an issue. Again, the mines are not available in every country. Plus, the rules, regulations, and everything can affect. However, to manage this risk, companies like Tesla, they have invested heavily. They have bought stock of the companies who are mining for lithium. So how the supply chain works for the batteries in simple word is the mining is happening. Then the battery manufacturers, they are actually buying that lithium and obviously doing all of their part. Then the almost complete battery is being sent to the companies like us, or let's say complete battery. Now we are just assembling it into our system. But the innovation is happening when we are manufacturing our own batteries. Why BYD is successful, why Tesla also got an edge, because they also try to make their own batteries. They are not just sitting idle and depending on the traditional battery manufacturers. And to be honest, what are the major difference that can be created in this industry just because of the power of battery? Let's say now the life of a battery is 500 kilometers or 500 miles. What if we make it double? What if we make it triple? That's where the difference will come in, isn't it? And if we can bring that powerful batteries, then why not we can have electric trucks? They can do that long distance, the logistics, and that's where the most of the pollution is happening. Otherwise, in the city, people are not traveling too much, right? In fact, we have a logistic company also. Previously, I was doing research, and in fact, I noticed every second or third vehicle you see in the market is doing some kind of logistics. Maybe small, maybe big. So that's where the major difference can come in. So we need to have a strong R&D. But again, the problem here is it is very cost intensive. How we can manage this problem? Any idea you can think of?
For controlling I production cost, we are using cost reduction techniques, some cost reduction techniques. And
Cost
lean
reduction technique
manufacturing.
For
For
battery,
controlling I production cost, we are using cost control technique and lean manufacturing to reduce waste.
right?
And buy
That is
materials
generalized.
through bulk.
Yeah. No, for batteries, I'm saying how we can make more efficient batteries. Or maybe we can make it a simple question. Do you want to depend on the traditional battery manufacturers because they might be doing their own innovation? Why we should go and take the risk? Or shall we take it in hand and try to do something which is disruptive? Which one you suggest and why? So both of that will have an advantage and disadvantage. For example, if you are taking this in hand, it's very risky, and there is high probability, we might not achieve what we are trying, or it might take a lot of time or years to reach there, which can cost our shareholders. It will cost our cash flows and ultimately profit also in the short term. But if we don't do it, if we just depend on a traditional way or the other companies, then we might have to, lose the competitive edge. For example, if you talk about Indian market, in Indian market, BYD is not doing good because Indian regulations are so much in favor of local companies. For example, they have to pay 100% tax when they come in. Plus, they have to do a lot of indirect taxation. So that makes it very difficult for the outside company.
As well, could you mention ways which the company can innovate, such as finding ways to cool the battery? Because that's one reason why batteries are inefficient, because they don't cool quick enough. So could that be like things like that, or higher energy density to release more energy from the battery, being able to put more battery cells within one big battery component, stuff like this? Could we mention these innovations?
Yes, you can mention. So what example I was giving, coming back to BYD. So BYD is not doing sales because they if somebody wants to buy their car, it is more than double price, almost 2.5 times they have to pay. However, their batteries and everything is so efficient. Other companies like Mahindra and all, they are buying the batteries or other components for electric vehicles from BYD. So now BYD is working B2B because of their extraordinary quality. They might not be able to sell at a big level directly, but indirectly they are getting business. So that's the advantage we can have. If Cewmlator do that, it may be very risky and cost intensive, but if we are able to do it successful, we can get that benefit. We can become a B2B player also. Then that are linked to electric motors we are doing. So we are doing electric cars. Why not we can do electric bikes also? Bikes is also a big market, especially in developing countries. If you see South Asian countries, in entire Africa, most part of Asia. So bike is also a big thing. And the population is also so high, and we don't have that level of infrastructure to accommodate cars, and cars again become very expensive. So going into bikes can also be a good opportunity. What do you think?
Yes, that's a good point. There's a high demand for electric bike and even motorbike as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree as well.
So what will be the major risk? What are the major advantage and disadvantage? Disadvantage, you can talk risk also.
Advantage could be we can replicate the technology that we're using on the cars with a few modifications because we're already in the industry. So we can reuse the sort of technology that we have on more bikes and bikes.
Sorry, what was the last point? Can you please repeat?
We can reuse the technology that we are using currently on our cars onto electric bikes and motorbikes. So that's an advantage because we already know some of the process. Or what we can do is partner up, do a joint venture with another motorbike company and supply them the battery technology and combine it with their structure of their bikes.
Right. And bike doesn't need so powerful batteries also. So we don't need to invest so much in innovating of the batteries.
Exactly. And you can look at alternative battery sources such as sodium ion, because those are the lower cost and it gives a lower range. But with motorbikes, you don't need long range, so that could be an option as well.
Right. And bikes are usually not used to travel a long distance because they are uncomfortable for long travels. So that way also the limitation, the requirement is low. And what can be the major challenge to do that? The disadvantage? Why companies are not doing? Why Tesla doesn't have a bike? I think BYD also doesn't have it. Not sure. We need to double check. Let me check out.
It might be not high demand for those sort of products yet. That could be one for the market that they're in. So might not be in demand.
Sales.
What is the last point?
Create the structure for those bikes. Also, there might not be enough demand in the country for those sort of items, such as bikes or motorbikes.
So I'm just checking now. BYD has tied up with TailG to revolutionize electric two-wheeler battery technology. Yeah. So indirectly they are into it. They are doing maybe with a strategic alliance, not under their name but as a supplier. BYD, a leading. I'll share that link on the group. You can watch it after this. I believe that's a natural extension that also we can think of with low risk, and it can give us a sustainable revenue.
I think I mentioned to you, Mizu, as well, the BYD are going to buses as well. So in London, they got buses made by BYD. So that's another transition. So you do probably work with the government with the London Transport for London to supply them buses.
So is it completely made by BYD, or they were just providing the batteries and the technology?
No, I think the whole thing, because they got the logo at the front of the bus.
Right.
So I think the whole thing is BYD.
Great. And that's a very good point to discuss. It's not only about manufacturing, it's a government bus, right? That means they have cracked a deal with the government, the powerful stakeholder. So that way, the risk is being mitigated. Government is promoting them. That means they have an edge over the competition. Right? And usually the government contracts are quite big. And you have a certainty of getting your cash flow on time because they have good budgets, isn't it? The traditional red bus is now coming by BYD. Okay. So you are a senior manager in Cewmlator's finance function. So we need to see exactly what is the role of senior manager. Okay, in the next slide we'll see it. It's very important. But primarily you have to answer on that 5 skill what we discussed: people, business, leadership, technical, and all of those. Then you report directly to board and advise on special projects and strategic matters. This line is very, very important. You report directly to the board. Okay. So when you're reporting directly to the board, many times students, they ask like, what should be the language? I believe we discussed a little bit also how they should write. So when you're writing to the board is not concerned. They are not interested. Do you think they'll be happy if you explain them the calculation? Will they have time to understand? What they are looking at is the outcome of it. Or maybe directly we can say the advantage and disadvantage of doing certain things, and what is your personal conclusion according to you. And it's not like always you're getting email from a CFO. Sometimes it may be your chairperson, sometimes it may be your operational director. Isn't it? So therefore, make sure your language is simple. And obviously, most of the students writing CIMA exam, English is not their first language. So it doesn't matter, It should be simple. We should not use certain terminologies which can create misunderstanding. But at the same time, no need to be super technical. For example, you're talking about zero dividend. You're saying that government, our company doesn't need to pay any dividend, and we can save that money for the investment. So you can say that, or the same thing you can say with M&M also justified. You can say there is one theory, Modigliani and Miller, they are saying zero dividend policy can be justified. So either way is fine, but don't try hard to put certain models. Don't try hard. If the stakeholder question comes in, I need to use the word Mendel's matrix. You're getting the point? That doesn't add value. The logic behind that is they have tested you on E3, T3, F3 already. Plus, it's like, they are replicating the real working scenario. There also, it doesn't make sense. Is that clear? Then the next thing is you advise on special project and strategic matters. Can you guys tell me what is the difference between special project and strategic matters? Hello? You can just do a guess.
Could special projects feel like we are taking some additional projects, or we are looking to do something in addition to what we are already doing? And strategic matters could be more like something we are already into, and we want to just strategize on what we are already doing.
Right,
Could it be
almost
that
there.
way?
Any example you can give, Nancy? You can think of any example.
Not really. I'm struggling with the example part actually.
Okay, no problem. Others? So whatever comes to your mind, you can say, guys. You don't need to have to, overthink.
Special projects could be long term, and strategic matters could be Sorry, special projects could be short term. Strategic matters could be long term.
Possible. All right. So the major difference is strategy matter is something which we are normally doing. For example, let's say we have to decide a dividend. We have to manage conflict in the organization. We have to see if our internal control is good. We need to see our internal audit is working, our audit committee, or we are just complying with the code of corporate governance. That becomes a strategic matter. And special project is something which we are doing new. In fact, the definition of project itself is something which is new, which has a deadline and everything. Special project can be what Cewmlator has not done in the past. It has uniqueness. For example, we are acquiring certain business. That becomes a special project. Now we are going into electric bikes. That becomes a special project. We are going from Ducks land. We are going to, let's say, Sea land. We are going to B land, Ireland, like that. That becomes a special project. So we need to work smart before you're writing mocks, or basically once the pre-scene analysis is done, industry, everything is done, we should have a list ready where we can make, let's say, 10 to 15 special projects and 10 to 15 strategic matters which you think is important for our business. And trust me, that topic can be repeated in the exam. So this list should be individual for all of you. Obviously, points will repeat is fine. We can discuss and share. That's also fine. But make sure you have your own work list. And where you'll get this points from, once we do the pre-scene, and the industry will get a hint. Like we already got one hint of special project. What is that? Going into electric bikes. We got another hint about starting our insurance company. These are two special projects we have got. So once we do the complete analysis, we'll get 10 to 15. Then same thing with the strategic matters. For example, we'll see that we don't have a good cyber security or we don't have a proper board of directors that is required, or certain balance is missing. That becomes strategic matter. Our dividend is not sustainable, becomes a strategic matter. If you think like our controls might not be good, that becomes a strategic matter with the dividend. So if you make a list, it will be very easy. It's like you are predicting the exam question. You're getting the point? This is linking to the first point in the introduction when I say most of the question in the exam should be something we thought of. It cannot be exact, but maybe the scenario. How it can happen? When we make a list of special project static max, because clearly they have given. This is your only requirement in exam, to advise on special project and strategic max. In this single line, the entire thing is given in the single sentence. But still, most of the student doesn't focus on that. Even if you open the previous questions, you can divide the question. There's only two categories: special project and strategic matter. Any question on that? Usually it will be mixed of both. It's not like they give you the entire 3 tasks on special project or entire 3 tasks on strategic matter. No. Is it clear? Then Cewmlator's head office is located in Duxland, a developed country that has active, well-regulated stock exchange. So Duxland, again, you can take it like a UK. It doesn't really matter much because they won't ask you specific questions, and legal requirements or anything is not part of our exam. However, why this can be important to consider this like UK, because as we discussed, UK corporate governance we have to consider. Then being in a developed country and being in undeveloped country also changed the course of business, especially the industry we are in, because still this electric car is into the growth stage. It has not reached maturity, and obviously the cost still remains high. So being in developed country or manufacturing underdeveloped country will change the course of the business, right? There are a lot of advantage and disadvantage for any business across industries. For example, if they are in developed country, the advantage is they can get good infrastructure, they can good talented employees to work because universities can be better. Disadvantage can be higher taxation, the regulations are strict, or in fact you have to pay multiple layer of taxation. The environmental regulations can be strict. These are generalized. Can you think of any specific advantage and disadvantage we can get, Cewmlator can get, or we have by operating in developed country? Any developed country. You can take example of UK, US, Australia, anything. Whatever comes to your mind. Hello? Is the question clear?
Bigger market, maybe more number of people, and strong infrastructure capabilities, or not capabilities, but strong infrastructure capacity of the government. Like they have funding to, or they have money to invest in this area. That might be an advantage.
What is more number of people?
So more number of people means like bigger markets to sell your products. Like more number of people means more potential sales.
You are saying in terms of population?
Yeah, population, yes.
But how developed country means more population?
There can be options of people immigrating to that country. There can be options of people, like foreign nationals coming to that country. So it's a good attractive. I mean, a developed country is normally where more businesses are established. Some companies have their headquarters as well. So in that sense, I would say it's an attractive destination. And then if it's an attractive destination, more people are likely to come over there and settle, or live their lives for longer terms. That's what I would think.
Right.
I think to add to that, they have more, they have more salary or they earn more, right? So they have more spending capacity. So that could be an advantage for the company to go.
It should add to eventually.
Yeah.
Because more person, we can say, or more customers, because ultimately if you have people and they cannot afford, no point. But in developed country, the living standard, the salaries are higher, so we can get more customers. We are closer to the customer, in short.
Also, there will be some tax savings, I believe, because here in Ireland, the corporate tax is way lesser than when you compare it with other countries' corporate tax percentage. So, that is also an advantage, right?
What is the percentage?
I'm not sure, but it's 12.5 or something.
Right. So 12.5 is a little bit of rarity, I would say, because most of the countries are charging 25, 20 at least.
Yes. So yeah, that's why the head offices, they kind of prefer setting up in Ireland, so that the corporate tax is a lot lesser than in the other countries.
Right. But can we take this as advantage? Do you think in Duxland also we'll have it like Ireland? Ireland will be like a special case?
Yeah, that's what. So Ireland, I think it is a special. I don't think so. The same goes with Duxland.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, the taxes are higher. Yeah. So these are
right.
But I want you guys to give something specific to the industry, what you can think of.
If
How
you
about the subsidies? Sorry, I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I think there will be it will be subsidized, right? Like if you invest in something electric, like the vehicles, or I think there are subsidies that that the government provides, if you buy electric car or something.
Right. The government was providing, but now their support is being reduced or is being taken away. Like in the today's scenario, maybe again next year they can come back.
Okay.
But yeah, the chances of getting subsidy is higher. In fact, developed country means the government is also rich. Like a poor country, even if the government want, they cannot subsidize too much. They don't have money. But a rich country, they can do it because they have the resources. So lobbying the government.
The main thing, Ms. Pa, we can, our industries need more innovation. Therefore, we need more research. If we're in the developed country, we can tie up with the university and we can do more research, and we can hire the quality people. We can high skilled people in order to deliver the good product to the market. Because if you tie up with the university, do the research, the cost point of view, also your cost will be shared because the expenses will go down.
Good point. Yes. And university has a lot of infrastructure themselves because they need it for their student anyways.
And I would also add that there can be, conscious consumers. Like we read in the case study as well that people of the country, they were shifting their trends towards electric. I mean, not the country, but overall the industry. The interest was shifting towards electric vehicles, and they were choosing more consciously on their cars and everything. So that can be another difference. And I think if if this Cewmlator's success in is successful in Duxland, so it can have a really good impact in international market as well. Like if they want to expand, they can, like if they want to move to some other country, they can always have a good reputation and goodwill in that country, like from their original country. So like, for example, Toyota or any big companies, they have good markets all over the world right now, but they started somewhere, right? They started somewhere. They started in their home country first, and then they built one by one. So that's what I'm trying to say, that they can have good market internationally as well, just by their own reputation here.
Right.
Like because it's a developed country. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Right. Like in German cars and Japanese
Yeah.
cars. Yes.
Yeah. Correct. Yes.
They have competition locally, but that gives them edge when they go internationally.
Correct. Yeah. So that and the conscious consumers would be great as well.
Consumers are conscious and they want the things should be environmental friendly now.
Mm-hmm.
Contribute to it. In fact, some customers, some clients are happy to pay a little bit extra. They want it to be sustainable.
There would also be a strong presence of supporting industries like larger dealerships or more options in terms of suppliers of products and needed in manufacturing plants in a developed country.
Right. Very true. I was coming to that point because what is happening, you can just take the simple issue of parking. In undeveloped countries, people are not using so much of cars, so they don't have so much of parking spaces also. The infrastructure is not developed like that. But here in developed country, you might have already built up infrastructure. You just have to get and install the charging stations. So installing that is much easier, just the charging station, then getting the entire infrastructure to build up new thing. You cannot just go and ask them to construct a new building or just change everything in the city for just to have the charging stations. So that way also it helps.
Then I think how about R&D from an R&D perspective also, it's better to do these R&D activities in a developed country because of their advanced technology and good logistics. I think that is also an advantage to, I mean, from an R&D perspective.
Definitely it is. Better road, better infrastructure, better air connectivity, sea connectivity.
Yes.
And moreover, if you just remember, we discussed this industry is very risky supply chain. So developed countries usually are in favor of business. Their policies are in favor of business. They have good relationship with other countries. Even in geopolitical situation, they are trying to manage. They are taking decisions which are in interest of their business. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That also help us. And that's the reason companies want to be located where there's a political stability. They might sometimes get manufacturing supplies from anywhere, but the registered office, they will be listed in the stock exchange where it is more stable, where the government is stable. Then well-regulated stock exchange means what? So whenever things happen, anything is happening or a news article is coming, whatever it is, the share price will react to it. In fact, many times they give you exam question that our share price has gone up or gone down just because of the news article. So that is also a part of a development. Well-regulated stock exchange. Insider trading, all of these things become illegal. So we need to make sure whenever some communication is happening or even our reputation is being taken care seriously. Otherwise, it will reflect on the share price directly. Then Dutch land currency is $. So fortunately, there is no calculation question, but the $. Can help us if we take it like a US dollar or a pound. It can help us to compare to the other companies in terms of market share. Then Dutch land require companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with IFRS. So no calculation, but IFRS, if we are comparing our numbers with others, so IFRS helps us because most of the countries are following it now. Excuse me, if not completely, they are trying to align with that. Even on our case, if you're going for a merger, acquisition or anything, this IFRS can help because we are going in hand with the global requirement. Clear? So this is the most important part of the pre-scene. In fact, you guys should go through it again, like we have discussed about developed countries. So do your own research, make your own notes. We have discussed about special project and static matter. Again, go back to that question. Do it because now I just ask you directly, you are not prepared. But now do some research and just try to answer that same question in a better way. And don't just read and satisfy yourself. Write somewhere because it's very easy that we can forget. We've written some points here also. I think we discussed already some of this. Cewmlator is business focused on manufacturing and dealers of EV cars. New upcoming arena uncertainty at peak, securing acceptance and winning is challenge, especially without government support. Then Cewmlator business focus on manufacturing dealership of EV cars. Do we scale up in Dutchland or concentrate on upcoming EV markets, global presence and eventual dominance? So I believe one type of question can be asked for us is going into the new market. Two questions, in fact, one is product development, another is market development. Product development can be going into this bikes and market development can be going into new cars. Again, both are very commonly asked questions. In which category both of this will come? Strategic matter or special project? I'm asking your question.
Special projects.
Special project, yes. So these are the part of the special project. In fact, we should not stop here. We should go to the next point. Now, if they ask about this under special project, what kind of country will be going, or what kind of product we are coming? Now, in that product, what are the advantage for our business? Why we are doing it? What are the risks? So, if we work like this smartly, we can predict a lot of questions. Not only questions, but we'll also know the answer. Because if you're coming with the up with the questions, obviously we know the answers on. Then coded company we discussed. Assess legalization legislation impact on EV. This is a very big risk, political risk or legal risk. Developed countries assess growth and market profitability. This is risks. Now coming to your role, we are still into the introduction, by the way. Senior finance manager. So what is your role? These are the 5 points. In fact, when we see the SCS result, no, they also try to give your result like this: arrow up, arrow down. And again, this remains constant irrespective of the pre-scene or the industry. First thing we'll discuss the favorite risk management. Here they have used the word risk mitigation. So risk mitigation is your primary job, one of the primary job. In fact, there have been certain questions where out of 6, you will see 5 questions were coming from P3 directly. They have linked to the other point. P3 means we have a separate topic, subject itself, risk management. So in order to mitigate the risk, the first thing is we need to identify risk. Why we can struggle to mitigate properly? Because we don't identify. And identification is not just about finding out, it is also about looking at the likelihood and impact. How much the probability of that is happening and how much it will impact. For example, let's say in Dutchland government is giving subsidy, okay, and tomorrow they want to take it off. Let's say because of that 20% of the cost is less. So what is the likelihood of Hello? Yeah, any question? Okay. So what is the likelihood if government will take it away, and how big will be the impact on the business? Maybe our sales will come down by 50%. And the likelihood of that is happening is low, but the impact is very high. So like this. And how we are trying to solve this? We have to come up with 40 to 50 risk of our business. And that risk is not just what we are facing now, but it should also include the list of perceived risk. What can happen in the future? Let's say we go into the new market, what are the risks? If we come up with a new product, what are the risks? I'll give you an example to see, and you guys have to work on it. Then we can discuss in the sessions also. Then next is financing strategy. Again, a commonly asked financing. Usually they ask you source of finance. Very common question. Very easy to score. It's better you can always, by heart this kind of question. Why? Because irrespective of why we need the money, how we'll fund the question or the answer will remain the same. Because the financial statements what we have, isn't it? They have given the retained earnings, they have given the dividends, they have given the property, plant and equipment, they have given the share price. So this answer should be almost ready for all of us. Just depending on the cost, depending on the time and everything, we can make the recommendation. Any question? Some of this might not make 100% sense because I am talking about answers. We are still in the initial stage, but it will make eventually. Then ecosystem evaluation. Ecosystem is all about the stakeholder management. So every situation will have a stakeholder, isn't it? Whether it may be bank, whether it's a shareholder, whether it is a supplier, like supplier issues we are thinking can be big in this industry. Everywhere is stakeholder. In fact, business management is stakeholder management. Or we have discussed people skill, leadership skill. All of this will be tested usually from the stakeholder perspective. So how we'll be doing this? We'll make a list of 20 stakeholders in our business. What is their expectation from us and how we can manage them? For example, suppliers. So suppliers, what they expect from us will go, beyond basic. Basically, what they want prompt payment, they want continuous business. That is for any business. Now, if you see in EV for us, especially if that supplier is rare, then they'll have high power. So what they need from us, maybe we need to invest in them. Maybe we need to do a strategic partnership. We need to share the risk because they are doing some innovation so that we can get a better battery. So why can't we do a partnership? Or maybe they need some equity. So we have to make sure in specific industry how it is happening. In fact, we can do the research how EV companies are managing the powerful stakeholders. or who are the specific stakeholders, or which stakeholder is very difficult to manage for this company? Does this make sense? So like this, we'll make like insurance will be one, universities will be one, the local society can be one stakeholder. Then develop business strategy. So developing business strategy, this year they're testing business acumen. It will be specific to the scenario. Business strategy can be to gain the competitive edge or to continue our sustainable growth. Here again, the understanding of our business, our current position, where we are. For example, if we are in a good position, we can take certain risk. If we are struggling ourselves, then this is a time to, don't take unnecessary risk. Just make our ground strong. Hold our ground, basically. Then control environment. This is a little bit similar to risk mitigation only, but in control environment, they can ask about internal control of the business. They can ask about sometimes the failure we have. Let's say failure of certain of our committees, or failure of our board of directors, or anybody not complying with the policies we have in the organization. That becomes the part of a control environment. Any question? Hello? Yes, no?
No questions from my end.
No.
All right. Great. Then we have introduction to electric cars. But before that, we can go quickly in the history. Evolution of EVs. We can discuss this. So, is it important for the exam perspective, this point? Directly, it's not, but indirectly, yes. It can just give you an idea how it started and how it changed. And maybe it will create some interest for you to do research. So, everything started in 1830s, like in 18th century. It was so back. We think it is of today, but in electric vehicles, more about the battery. So already early electric carriages and battery experiment happened in 1830s, and obviously it was not for the cars. It may be for other use cases, maybe in defense or in factories and other things. Then straight away there was nothing much for almost 100 years. Then oil crisis, especially in 70s and 80s. So the government doesn't want to depend on just oil, and especially certain countries are dominating that. They have their own OPEC, OPEC nation. They have their own association and all. So that way the government was struggling. So they wanted to invest in an alternate source of energy. And obviously mobility is the primary use. Then we have logistics, and through logistics only our basic necessities, our food, clothing and everything we are getting. Even the shelter, the construction of the home. So in 1990s, straight away, if you go here, GM, EV1 and Toyota Paris. Toyota, obviously, they are famous in innovation. They started with something, mark modern EV effort. And there are other players also. Maybe they were not in the front. They're doing the research in the backside. And mostly, if you see in this car manufacturing, most of the companies internally, they do strategic alliance. We see that they are competitors. It's not about EV also. If you see other ends, for example, previously we saw a case where Toyota and BMW were doing research. It was Toyota, BMW or Audi, one of the company, about the tires. They are doing research on the tires. What kind of tires is more suitable in the extreme weather, like when it's snowing and the temperature is too low. So same thing I believe should have been done here. Then Tesla came up, kind of disrupted. Tesla Roadster proves EVs can be fast and desirable. So Tesla did a lot of R&D. Tesla technically started everything from the scratch. Otherwise, if you see how this industry used to work is, companies mostly used to assemble the products assemble everything and make a car and just add some part of the value. But what Tesla did is they try to do everything on their own. And obviously they failed so many times until they came up with this. So they took extreme risk. Then 10, 15, we have seen after success of Tesla and even government getting interested, other manufacturers also wanted to come up with that. So Nissan, Leaf, BMW, and a lot of other models came in. Then the major thing happened 15 to 20, battery cost drop. Why drop? Because of economies of scale. Then lithium ion batteries also become main thing compared to sodium batteries and all. They are more powerful. Global EV sales rise. China leads. China is leading. I think in today's term also they have almost 50%, more than 50% of their cars are electric. And they are having a lot of advantage. Lot of mining that is required, like lithium, we said it can be done in China. Lot of rare earth metals required for manufacturing of battery that is locally available in China. And government is very much supportive to their business. In fact, what global respect and power they have got, China, just because of their businesses, isn't it? Economic progress only has given them the benefit of these geopolitical benefits. Then 2020 to 25, automakers commit to ICE internal combustion engine, phase out EV hits 15% global market. So it was a very good increase, 15%, but still a lot of experts were expecting it to go bigger and do another level of this. That doesn't happen. Maybe because the ecosystem was not there. And people have a lot of cars. They will not just sell their car to buy a new EV. But now what one shift has happened, the companies, the big corporates, they have to do sustainable reporting. In order to do a sustainable reporting, when they are buying a new fleet of cars, even medium companies, they are going for electric cars. So businesses are doing it for the sake of compliance. And what you're expecting now is EVs reach cost parity, infrastructure scales rapidly. So it is scaling, but again, it is subjective to some areas, some states, some countries, because it's not possible in most of the places. For me, it's very costly. Cost is the major thing. Then the last point for today is we can look at the type of electric cars. In fact, we can see this in detail from the pre-scene where they have been. Just one sec. Yeah, we'll do it from here. We have discussed your introduction. I'll share this annotated also with you guys. Now they are talking about how it became in 19th century, the same point. We'll go to the types. There are several types of electric car. Some manufacturers produce both ICE and EV, and some produce EV exclusive. What we are doing is EV. Remember, these points are not directly relevant to our company Cewmlator. This is industry analysis. What others are doing. So first is BEV, battery electric vehicles. As the name suggests, the name itself says electric vehicle, right? So they are completely on battery, powered entirely by electricity. The cars have large batteries that are recharged by plugging them into electric source. PV cars can be reached at their driver's home, can charge at the driver's home or domestic electric socket if we have. At the charging point, they can also be charged at public charging points. BEV cars produce no emission when they are being driven. Their electric motors are quite, unfortunately, they are difficult to recover if they run out of charge. That's the main problem. So they have given a funny picture also. You can't do anything, but you have to just tow the car. Or you can just carry it like this. This is because they cannot be towed and so must be lifted onto low loader or trailer and carried out in the owner's home or a public charging. So even towing is not possible. And it's very costly, especially if you're in highway and all, it can be risky, isn't it? But again, we can see on the benefit, the positive side, if you see, we can see how much battery is left, how many miles or kilometers it can travel, and it's completely safe and comfortable to do within the city limits. What is the major differentiation here? The BV range will vary depending on the size and weight of the car and the capacity of its batteries, as well as the manner in which it is driven. I think it also affects the infrastructure. If the road is quite good with no loop or potholes, then also the service will be better. Range can be as little as 160 kilometers to 600 kilometers. Range is the only problem. If the range is increased, and how range can be increased? Because of the batteries. So innovation in batteries can be a disruption. Now, if you go to second one, plug-in hybrid. These cars are powered by a combination of both electricity and petrol diesel, with the drivers being able to choose between power systems. This is more sustainable for the customer point of view, and the risk is also low. If they're doing in city, they might use the battery, and if they're going outside, or sometimes even if they feel like the car is too heavy and a lot of people are sitting in it, so they might go with the petrol or diesel. They have smaller batteries than BEV cars, but they also have fuel tanks to power the ICE, internal combustion engine. Technically, it's best of both. The batteries on PHEV cars are charged by plugging them into chargers in the same way. But only thing is, maybe able to manage 60 kilometers on its battery. The range is very low. So technically, if you see 60 kilometers is nothing. Sometimes within a day, people are going more than 60. Plus, it requires a lot of time to charge. The biggest disadvantage here is most of the time the car user is depending on traditionally ICE engine. Just for the namesake, they have this. Or maybe we can say 80-20. Some people might use more, but the range is really low. PHEV cars can switch on their internal combustion engines if they run out of batteries power, and they can be refueled quickly. With petrol or diesel during long journeys, they usually have smaller fuel tanks than those on ICE cars, which means they have to be refueled frequently over long distance. There is also a weight penalty associated with carrying both electric and ICE propulsion units. If they have the weight penalty, that also means their mileage is coming down. What other car, and if you compare to this, it will be different. Right? Now, if we go to HEV cars hybrid, this is very simple, I hope, self-explanatory, so we are not going in detail. Maybe a video can help. I'll see if I can get a video. That will be even easier for you to understand. But make sure you also do the research. Hybrid cars use a petrol or diesel engine to generate electricity, which is used to keep the battery charged while the car is underway. These cars cannot be plugged in. So technically here what is happening, the fuel is converting that energy, what they're getting, to the battery. It's not directly. For example, hydrogen is there. Now hydrogen is being put into the vehicle, and that is converting or powering the cells. And that cell is like battery. And from there, car is getting the power. The batteries on HEV cars are too small to enable them to be driven for more than few kilometers unless the internal combustion engine is running. Those ICE engines are used exclusively to generate electricity. HEV cars cannot be driven on petrol or diesel other than through the electric power that they get. They are running on electric, but how they're getting power is through the traditional source. Then we have mild hybrid, very similar to this. Cars have an electric motor that is connected directly to a petrol or diesel engine. The motor assists with ICE when the car is accelerating, boosting performance and saving fuel compared to ICE cars. The motor assists with engine to turn over when the car is cruising at a steady speed, again using less fuel. So technically, mix of both. The motor reverses and generates electricity when the car is slowing down. The electricity is used to charge car's battery. This is similar to our normal car, the battery charges when you drive. MHEV cars cannot run on their electric motors alone. They use electric power to supplement the ICE. Most cars convert kinetic energy into heat energy, which causes them to slow down. These electric motors in MHEV convert much of kinetic energy into electric energy instead of heat. So technically, when we brake, also is getting some power, so like the regenerative brake. That improves fuel efficiency slightly in comparison with ICE cars. It's difficult to decide whether MHEV is electric cars or not. ICE cars, excluding MHEV, accounted for 45% of new cars registered in Deutschland. MHEV are classified as ICE. Then electric cars accounted for 61%. This looks like a, like a traditional case, but still 45% if you see, no, sorry, 45% is ICE. And if you consider this non-electric, so 39% is our market share. Now we have to see how much we have and all. We'll see this in detail, but in tomorrow's session. The aim for today was looking at electric cars and moreover your role, the introduction part. So tomorrow when we start, we'll quickly look at these models, the types again in few minutes, then we'll go it. Okay. Any questions? Tomorrow we are connecting on same time, the same link.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Please read once before you join.